Now, in a few weeks' time, a whole bunch of people, I think mainly women, will be hiking along the Fleurieu Peninsula. And you might look out the car window and say, what are all those people doing there? But no, you will know because you heard the news on this station. Hello, Julie.
Good morning. And men are very welcome and very actively involved.
Is that, well, that was one of the questions I had for you. Are men allowed to come along with this?
Oh, God, yes. You know, it's teams of 4, minimum of 2 women, and lots of husbands look after the kids while it's happening, but many also come and walk.
All right. Now, this is the Beyond Blue Coastrek. I remember the first time this surfaced, it was a few years ago, and it has grown. But explain to us, for people who are new to it, what is the Beyond Blue Coastrek?
Look, basically, this is a 13-year history of fantastic fundraising by people doing Coastrek walks along beautiful parts of Australia and many capital cities and regional areas. And 4 years ago, the first one came to Adelaide. It was launched by Julia Gillard, who, of course, is very involved with Beyond Blue. And this is the 4th one, and on the beautiful Fleurieu Peninsula. And you can do a 60-kilometre walk or a 30-kilometre walk, and every penny goes to Beyond Blue, which is fantastic.
So it's like a walkathon.
Yeah, it's like a
when we were
walkathon.
kids at school, you remember you'd have walkathons, you'd walk around the oval or you'd...
Most definitely. The great thing about this is, even though I like walking around ovals, don't get me wrong, but the coastline
that boring.
Well, the coastline here, I'm relatively new to Adelaide, and I'll be walking from Victor Harbour to Goolwa. I'm doing the 30-kilometre one. I am 67. It'll be a stretch, but I'm doing it. But there is a 60-kilometre one from Parsons Beach to Goolwa, but I don't have to tell Adelaide people it's bloody beautiful.
It is. It is God's country. It's amazing. You go down there and you think, why isn't this just lined with, and let's hope it never is, but lined with, huge tourist resorts, because it's just so gorgeous.
It is beautiful. And I think it's, while the Coastrek group have been going for 13 years, they've raised over 43 million. Initially it was for Fred Hollows, and I've done a number of walks for Fred Hollows, but I do think there's something fantastic about Beyond Blue being their charity of choice now, because the link between walking and reducing anxiety and depression is so powerful.
So you're not just talking the talk, you're walking the walk literally while you're doing this.
You got to help me out here, brother. That's great.
Now this has, you have personal experience of this, because a lot of people know Julie McCrossin, and we think of you. We grew up with you back in the 90s with Good News Week, and of course you had the Sydney breakfast program for local radio, and then you were on Radio National with Life Matters.
Yeah, and Geraldine Duke, who we still see on Compass a lot. Yeah.
But for those people who don't know the other side, part of your story, big part of your story in the last few years is you've been battling with cancer. And I read one report that after you managed to get over the first bit, you actually went out walking, and that was a big deal for you to get back out and getting fit again.
Absolutely. So, yes, I did walk with Coastrek before cancer, but when I got cancer just over 9 years ago, I had throat cancer. It was life-threatening. It was a big deal, radiation and chemo, but 9 years and I'm back and I can speak, and I want to say hello to any speech pathologists who are listening today, because it took me 18 months to get my voice back. So, it was a big deal. But many people who get cancer, whatever sort of cancer, do experience some depression. Partly the treatments are tough. And, we know this from our friends, if not from personal experience. And there's unbelievably strong evidence that walking is the single most important thing you can do to recover from any emotional distress, and it also fosters recovery from almost any illness, and it also fosters prevention. So, walking's the way to go. And I've done Coastreks since having cancer, and I'm still keen to keep that physicality going, to keep my emotional well-being on the positive side. Because it's not just the walking, David, it's the beautiful natural location and it's being with a team of friendly people. Like, it's on Friday the 2nd of September,
yes,
by the
we've got
way,
to give the details out. Yeah, it's Friday the 2nd of September. Can you still take part in this? Can you sign up now?
Absolutely. You can sign up for a team of 4 up until midnight this coming Sunday. So the deadline's about to happen, and you'll already see teams walking up and down the Fleurieu Peninsula, because the key to this is to walk the route in advance so you're really familiar with it. I feel like, the walking helped me recover from cancer in every possible way. And if I could just quickly say, I've got a new puppy at the moment, a tiny little Groodle, and it reminds me of when I was recovering from cancer, because I had a tiny little dog then. Yeah. And I went out with a puppy and actually got pulled over by a puppy. That's how unwell I was. But I kept walking because I knew it would help me recover.
I read, it was a while ago I read this, so stop me if I've remembered it incorrectly, that when you were, in a very bad way with the cancer, because you had these 2, were they cavoodles?
Yeah, little cavoodles, yeah.
You said, you were asked a question, if you have last moments, what do you want? And I want the dogs in bed with me. And I thought, my Lord, there is no way if I was dying, there's no way I'd want my Cooper in the bed with me. I mean, for a start, there wouldn't be any room left.
How big is Cooper?
He's 42 kilograms. And the smell, I don't want that, the things that come out of his backside. I do not want my last moments to be with my dog in that bed.
Look, I put it to you that until you face the actual possibility, you don't know what you want.
Are you saying once you've stared death in the eye, you are prepared to put up with the things that come out of my dog's backside?
David, I am here in Adelaide living now because I have 2 little grandchildren.
Yes.
I have a great partner, I have a daughter, I have a son. I
Yes.
want all of them at the bedside, but I'm telling you, the little Groodle I've got right now...
He'll be in the bed?
He'll be there too, because it's a fantastic security assurance. And I know other dog lovers, occasionally people evidently like cats. I don't understand it myself, but we like that mammal with fur.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got some fur yourself. I could get you.
Yes. Yeah, I could curl up in bed with you, Julie. Now, 30 Ks, you're doing the little one. That's 30 Ks, but that's still quite a serious hike. 60 Ks is the big one.
Look, it's been a revelation to me, this whole Coastrek thing over the years. By the way, they've raised over $43 million in the 13 years. Plus, they've had over 61,000 trekkers now in all the 13 years. Now, what that shows you is an awful lot of people can walk either 30, 50 or 60. The durations have varied. Right. And I've been amazed that if you just get out there and practice, humans were evidently developed to walk.
To walk long distances.
Yeah, we were hunter-gatherers. And remember, it's not a race.
No, it's not a race.
It's not a race. And they have these things called love stops along the way where they give you water and snacks and little quick massages, and St John's ambulance are with you.
But you'll do the 30 Ks in one go.
Oh, yes, you just go. I've got walking poles. Yes, no, it's all in one go. With your 3 team members. Mine's called the Billy Brigade because my first grandchild is a little girl called Billy.
Right.
You can Google and donate to me if you like, but I want the people listening to get a team and come out onto that Fleurieu Peninsula with us.
If you've just joined us, we're talking to Julie McCrossin. You no doubt you think, is that Julie? That's Julie McCrossin. And we've got to ask her in a moment, why has she relocated to beautiful South Australia, and why did it take her so long? That's the next question. But if you've just joined us, Julie's involved in the Coastrek event, and it's taking place on the 2nd of September, and there are different stages, and basically you put a team together and you do this hike, which in itself is a great thing to do. It's a good thing for your own health to do, mental or otherwise. But also it's an opportunity to raise money, and the money goes to Beyond Blue. There is a training program too.
Exactly. There's, if people just Google, Coastrek Adelaide, it all pops up. But there's an amazing amount of support for what you should do in the weeks leading up. And to be honest with you, the preparation for it for me is the funnest part of it all, because you can go at your own pace and you do it in smaller segments. But you do get an enormous amount of emotional satisfaction to actually complete either 30 kilometres or 60 kilometres. It's amazing.
No, as usual, we've gone off on a tangent on the text line. People giving me advice about my dog. Now, Mary from Barossa says, I'm feeding him the wrong thing. Excuse me, Mary. That dog gets the top shelf more money is spent on that dog's food than on mine, frankly. He's got a better diet than me. And it's still unbelievable.
Could I just ask what sort of dog you've got?
He's a golden retriever.
Oh! Well, that's what I've got. I've got a half golden retriever, half poodle mini.
Yeah.
Perhaps next time, not...
We can get them together. We can get them together. And look, there's no way he'd walk 30 Ks, by the way. He's the laziest dog. Okay, so why are you back in Adelaide? Well, I say back in Adelaide. Why have you relocated to Adelaide?
Well, my daughter has married a lovely local guy, a teacher, and we've had 2 children. My daughter's a local GP, and they invited us to come down, first of all, to help in the early, before the first baby and so on. And
they wanted free babysitters as well.
Look, I like to think there's some love involved. But yes, no, there's 2 sets of grandparents actively involved, and it's a very happy extended family situation. It's fantastic.
And so you discovered South Australia?
Discovered it and will not leave. We've bought a home in Hallett Cove, unbelievable bushland conservation park.
That park is
wild
amazing.
Beach. Yeah, it's hills, which is good for me getting ready for Coastrek.
Yeah.
But, it's unbelievably beautiful. I've lived in Sydney all my life. I've worked in all over Australia, but there's no question Adelaide is a very beautiful place.
We go down to Hallett Cove often. I say we, that's Jeanette and me. And I still can't get my head around the rocks. We've done broadcasts from down there with our favourite geologist, Victor Gostin, explaining what that amazing landscape, and I still have trouble getting my head around it because it's just so beautiful.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that Australia realises that Adelaide is a beachside suburb, a beachside city. It is so beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm down at Brighton a lot, that huge beach. It is just a beautiful coastal city, and with so much bushland. We're very lucky here.
Oh, I've got to ask you before you go. For me, because I'm Adelaide born and bred, for me, Julie McCrossin is Good News Week because that's when I first saw you. Do you think back on those days? It was an amazing show, and you looked like you had so much fun.
Definitely. Look, for people who are uninitiated, this was a media quiz show where you commented on the news, and Paul McDermott, who's still on ABC TV, was the host. Mikey Robbins led a team, and I led a team, and it was witty commentary on the news. Look, it was a wonderful experience. The boss of that program had a family coming from Vaudeville. And I think the spirit of Vaudeville, Ted Robinson's his name, is responsible for much of the comedy that's come on ABC TV over the years. And I think you can see the Vaudeville influence in that program and in programs that are still around that have echoes of Good News Week. And it taught me to relax and enjoy myself in the media.
I'm interested in that. As a performer, I mean, how much, if you're doing a show like that, how much of it is prepared in your head? Do you have a whole lot of lines or scenarios or stories that if the moment arises, I can draw that and that the story is already well honed, or is it all just off the cuff?
The old Good News Week was a mix of both. So there was scripted material, but Mikey Robbins and I knew nothing. We were the ad-libbers, and I am an ad-lib. If you give me a line, I just muck it up.
Right.
I'm no good at that.
You're just hopeless.
I'm just hopeless.
Julie's hopeless.
I'm hopeless.
All of those scripts you were sending in, forget it, she's hopeless.
Funnily enough, that's it in a nutshell. And it was embodied for me by I don't know if you remember, but Ted Robinson had a pyrotechnic man who used to blow things up on set, and they wouldn't even tell me if the desk was going to blow up and fly in the air because I had such authentic reaction shots. Right. In fact, I feel my role in comedy was the authentic reaction shot.
You were just there for people to see what a scared a scared face looked like.
And to enjoy myself.
Yeah.
But, it was a privilege to be on that program.
But how do you perform like that? Because you've got to be at the top of your game. You've got to have all your biorhythms just at that, and all your energy. And when was it recorded? Was it live or was it?
It was recorded live in front of an audience.
At what time of the day?
In the night.
And
they madly edited up, and they basically edited out the best bits. But look, David, you are the man on live radio. You are the man at the top of your game. How do you keep the joy, the joie de vivre, the engagement with your audience? It's got to be an authentic love of being with people and caring about what's happening in your community and relaxing and enjoying yourself. And to me, the great gift of media is if you get to do it regularly so that you can genuinely be yourself. That's the key, don't you think?
Have you heard this program? But what if you're feeling miserable? What if you've had a crap day and you know that, come 7 o'clock tonight, I've got to front up with these two guys who are just bundles of energy, but who knows what sort of a day they've had, Paul McDermott, Mikey Robbins, and I've got to tap that. It's show business.
Oddly enough, there's a connection to exercise, which will bring us back in a moment to Coastrek Adelaide on the 2nd of September.
See what a professional she is?
No, but seriously, for the first year going on that media quiz show in Good News Week, I used to lap a pool for a couple of hours just before I got changed and went off to makeup to go on this program.
Really?
Yeah, because I think physical exercise brings on a genuine psychological and physical relaxation. That's the truth of it. I used to lap a pool so that I could be loose when I arrived.
That's the thing, isn't it? You've got to be tight as a spring, but you've also got to be as loose as, as ever.
Is there any way I can get you down to the Flouria Peninsula on Friday the 2nd of September?
See? She's a professional. All right, now before you leave us, one more plug. This is for the Coastrek. If you're thinking, how do I, I don't want to do it. No, this will be your opportunity. And you've got a few weeks to get fit. It's the 2nd of September. There's a 30K and a 60K challenge, but nobody's going to get upset if you walk 2Ks and call an Uber or a taxi.
Well, that's true, but you'd be amazed how few people do it. I think they always have had over 95% completion.
Right.
People, because it is fun, but you've also got, you're there with hundreds of people. Yeah. So you've got this kind of group momentum as well as you've got your three
like
teammates.
The children of Israel.
Well, that's Jeremiah from the earlier caller coming
exactly, back. Exactly, yeah. So, look, Julie will be dressed as Moses.
I'll probably be Mrs. Moses.
Mrs. Moses. Leading at the moment, I think I read about 1,200 trekkers are expected to take part.
Oh, yes, they get zillions. But to be honest with you, they call me tail end Charlie. I tend to be more towards the back.
Right. Okay. So there we are. Look, if you want details,
just Google Coastrek Adelaide, and you need to sign up by Sunday night this Sunday.
Okay.
And thank you, and give my love to your dog.
I will. And honestly, it's not my fault. He just farts a lot. It's 6 minutes to 10.